Yo. What's
What is
up,
up?
everyone? Welcome to the Think Big podcast. Today we're going to start with our best friends Sam Singh and Alejandro Alvarez. Looks like our best friends here are signing some paperwork on a deal, dog.
Yeah, they're actually a little bit late right now because they just closed on Mindset Manor, which is a gigantic castle that they all live in. And I'm still really,
Nice.
really jealous about it. But those boys are signing some paperwork right now, man. They're getting deals done, so they will be here with us probably a little bit later, as long as they don't keep running late. But it's going to
Mm-hmm.
be me and Mr. Bruce Wayne himself, Brown Bruce Wayne, Mr. Alejandro Alvarez. Alejandro, how are you doing, man?
Bro, I'm doing great, bro. What about you?
I'm I'm good, dude. I'm good. A lot of things are moving really, really fast, right? And
Mm-hmm.
I'm super excited about this talk. And it kind of feels sacrilegious to start talking about what we're going to talk about today if he's not here, right? Because we're going to talk about something really, really, really important, guys, and that is mindset. Mindset. Now you can call it mindset. There's multiple elements to mindset, right? Something that, you know, um, our brother Mindset Marlon does so well at, and that is positivity and things like affirmation and framing of the mindset. Now there's other components of mindset that Alejandro, you might be the best that I've ever met with, and that's a key of mindset called focus, right? There's other elements of mindset. There's drive, there's ambition. Guess what? There's also the darker side of mindset. There is mental health instability. There is stress. There is negativity, toxicity. There's a lot of things that go into mindset. And all of these things add up, man. They compound so quickly, so fast. And they can have a great effect. And when I say great, I don't mean positive, but a sizable effect on what our results look like as entrepreneurs. I actually had this epiphany last night, man. I was driving around town and I realized that as entrepreneurs, we are a very unique breed of human beings. Very unique. And the
Oh
things
yeah.
that we deal with, man, are different. They're unique. Most people have no idea how to handle them because most people go their entire lives without even having to be in the positions that we are in. Right? Some things that I was thinking about, I was talking about, I have a podcast. It's called The Origin Story. And on The Origin Story, we bring on high level entrepreneurs and we get to talk about the real struggles that they've been through. And one thing that I've just noticed is a theme with the greatest entrepreneurs in the world. They have to deal with at some point this feeling of isolation, this feeling of feeling lonely. Why? Because they realize that not many people immediately around them think like they do, operate the way they do, have the same. Alejandro, do you know anybody around you in your immediate proximity that has anywhere near the level of focus that you do?
Oh man. To be honest with you, at this point where I'm at, not really, bro.
No,
Not
no.
really.
I'll tell you, man. I know a ton of people. I know some extremely focused individuals. I know people with a different type of focus, maybe, right? But
Mhm.
they're very few and far between. I think about guys like our mentor, Pace Morby, right? I think about one of my new mentors, Kent Clothier, who at 30 did $1.8 billion in a year. Insane, right? The amount of focus that it takes. Someone that I look up to greatly, Buff Jesus, Alex Hermosi, is he has an incredible level of focus to him too, but it's all different, right? And all of these people, Alejandro, you included, are unicorn human beings. I don't know, we always say this. We always say that, hey, as entrepreneurs, whether we make $1 million a year or $100 million a year, we're all the same, right? I was watching this video by
Mhm.
a good friend of mine. He's blowing up on YouTube. His name is Anthony Vicino, and he made a YouTube video basically exposing, young social media e-commerce millionaires, right? And one thing
Mhm.
that he kept saying is, hey, if I can do it, so can you, right? I'm a
Mm.
normal human being just like you. And I agree with that to a degree. And
Yeah.
Anthony made this unique point. He thinks, no, you are not just like everybody else. You are, in fact, a great outlier. you have at young ages accomplished what 99.999% of the world will not accomplish. And when we look at these things, I think of guys like Mindset Marlon. Brother, it's good to see you. I've missed you. We were without you for the last 6 minutes.
Dude, we're getting some papers notarized and some deals closed. The Mindset, man.
There we go. See,
Oh,
there we
man.
go. See, guys,
I feel like I
buying a
need
house.
to go to sorry, Sam. I feel like I just need to go to the Manor House just for maybe 2 months. I feel like I'm just gonna 10x the deals I close, bro. You guys been closing deals since you moved in, bro. Let me get a piece of the sauce.
Feels like that. Like it's actually kind of weird. Like it's almost like crazy, but like that's actually what it feels like. It's like ever since we got to the house. I mean, day one, I think 5 contracts were locked up on the premises. Not all by me, just being throwing that out there. Between myself, Daryl, we had like our guests that came over that day. They locked up contracts. Like it was just so bizarre and like deals.
Bro, let me just come in and add to the whiteboard.
Dude, we gotta get like the big whiteboard inside here. Like it's crazy. Like I'm loving this house. It's producing some quality energy, and it's just a testament to the power of proximity and being around right people. And I totally feel like I'm derailing the conversation. I feel like
you are, but in the best way possible, right? In the absolutely the best way possible. You're actually proving a point. You're proving the point that I was making is that when it comes down to this, all comes down to mindset. We're gonna talk about mindset a lot today. Certain people are just wired a certain way. Certain people are unique, right? The level of positivity and self-awareness and self-love that Marlon has, that Marlon exhibits within himself, is some of the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. And he's the only person that I've ever personally met who exhibits these habits, these patterns, these tendencies. Alejandro is able to go into monk levels of focus in his work, and Alejandro is a rare breed of human being. And so, Marlon, I was talking about how a good friend of mine, Anthony Vicino, who's rapidly blowing up on YouTube, made a video talking about young e-commerce millionaires who are like 19 and they're just crushing and they're making $1 million and they're driving Lambos and this, that, and the other. And they keep saying to everyone on camera, hey, there's nothing special about me. You're just like me, right? And I agree with that to a degree. And Anthony made this amazing point. No, you are the outlier. Doesn't mean you're any better than other people, but something about you, whether it's genetics or in your DNA or in your wiring, something about you is different. It is why at such a young age, you've accomplished so much more than 99% of the world. And this is true. It is a fact. It is a fact of the matter. So it doesn't mean that you can't rewire your brain. It doesn't mean that if you're 25, 30, 35, 40, you're just getting started in this industry, that you can't attain focus like Alejandro Alvarez, that you can't attain positivity and self-love and all of the self-awareness that Mindset Marlon has. You can. You absolutely can. It just requires a level of critical analysis. It requires a level of self-awareness. And most importantly, it requires something that I think a lot of people fail at because we're never taught to do this in life. And that is to be introspective. That is to actually sit by yourself and think about, what am I thinking? What am I feeling? What are my patterns? What are my habits? Do I like them? And most importantly, what's causing them? We're never taught to think that way. We're never taught to self-analyze. But we do it to everybody else. It's a very unique thing. When I met Marlon, I was like, this guy is happy as hell. And I was wondering, I was like, what made him so happy in life, right? Why is he so ecstatic and giving and loving and like, has no one betrayed him yet? What is going on, right? And I was critically analyzing Marlon. And then eventually I realized, wait a minute, what happens to me if I sit down and apply that same level of critical thinking to myself? And by doing that, by going through these exercises, I was able to, I feel, unlock new levels of self-awareness, self-understanding, self-love, and higher levels of ambition, of drive, of focus. These are all mindset evolutions. So I just wanted to hit on that. I think it's a really interesting topic. But Marlon, today We're going to talk about mindset and how to use mindset to succeed in 2023.
Yo, let's go. This is my jam. So, I mean, let's be like, first off, everything you just said, Sam, so freaking spot on. I mean, like, it's like the fact that you're able to sit down and be self-reflective, and you're good about understanding other people, looking at them objectively. It's actually one of my favorite things about you, bro. And you even know this. I messaged you, it had to have been about a month and a half ago. And this is what I messaged Sam. I asked him, I said, Sam, like, can you help me, bro? Like, what do you see from the outside looking into my life because of how clear and objective you are with your observations and your mindset of scaling and growing? What do you see as things like blind spots in my life, bro? Because we can't always see our own blind spots, no matter who we are. We can't always see our blind spots. And Sam pointed out such amazing things from you, which I was like, oh, bro, dude, thank you. You deliver in such a tactful way as well, where I'm like, bro, like, I appreciate that so effing much because you've saved me time. You've given me time and you've given me a focus on how to improve myself. You're helping me get better. So, guys, and like everyone, when you have friends in your life, people in your life that are going to help you by pointing out the booger in your nose, tell them thank you when they say it, because that's low-key what it is. Or they're giving you a mint when you're at the party. That's what it is when they correct you on things that they see you doing that can be done better. So personally, I just want to say, Sam, thank you for that. So we're about to be talking about mindset in 2023 and how to build it, how to crush it, and how to succeed. And what's interesting, Sam, Alejandro, you guys have been playing around with ChatGPT a little bit, right? You've been playing around with some artificial intelligence?
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
I have a lot.
A lot, right? Because it's freaking cool. And it's also a little creepy, but more cool than creepy. And last weekend, I actually sat down with it and I asked it a couple of interesting questions, one of which were, what were the most common limiting beliefs that prevented individuals from acquiring wealth and building wealth in their life? And this brings us to what we are doing today, because when I read through the answers, I'm someone that's been studying personal development for close to a decade now and applying it to my own life. And if people understood where I started from mentally and also financially, but more so mentally to where I am now, I mean, it is a day and night difference. So when I read these answers of the things that are holding most people back, most people that want to be entrepreneurs, most people that want a better lifestyle, that want financial freedom, that want the good life that they've seen, the answers were so crystal clear that I want to share them for the sake of not growing it, but for the sake of recognizing that if these were the things holding people back, if I do the opposite, what I can do is I can now catapult myself forward. So on the top of the list, do you know what came up?
What is that?
Quite simple. It was a scarcity mindset. Right? Like, number one thing that prevented people from accumulating wealth, that prevented people from going on to achieve great success. The same thing that's stopping a lot of people right now in 2023. There's a reason a lot of people will not pass in 2023. A lot of people will not achieve anything of noteworthiness this year, being 100% honest. And the reason they will fail is because they're still living with a scarcity mindset. So what does that mean? Right? A scarcity mindset is basically this belief that the world, that the universe, that the reality they live in is limited, that there's a set number, a preset number, that the reality will only ever have this much to it. And even if they don't understand this at a conscious level, like I'm going to speak about it on a conscious level tonight. Most people will never have even analyzed their own thoughts at this deep of a level, but this is what's going on beneath the scene. This is what's happening on the operating system. That they believe that there's a limited supply to the world, to reality. Therefore, in order for them to have something, it has to come from somewhere else. In other words, it has to come from someone else. So every time they go and have a victory, there must be a loser in their paradigm, in their reality. This is what a scarcity mindset tells them. Now, keep in mind that most people want to be the good guy or the good gal. They want to be the hero in their story. Now, I can't tell you any movie where the hero is the person going around and robbing and stealing from other good people, because most people too also believe that other people in the world are genuinely good, that most people are doing things from the goodness of their heart, even if on the outside it seems like they're doing something bad. So if I'm a person who wants to be the hero, and I also believe that other people are heroes in their life, they're good people, I can't steal or take from them. Therefore, when I go out and I conduct business, it's hard for me to go and produce results for myself because on a subconscious level, I believe that when I win, I'm stepping on someone. And this is why most people will not acquire wealth. It has nothing to do with the industry they're in. It has nothing to do with their processes. It has nothing to do with their sales ability. It's on a vibrational level, on a fundamental level. They don't believe that it's possible to go out and win without hurting others. It's a scarcity mindset. And ultimately, what has to happen is we've got to make a mental flip. In 2023, if you cannot make this mental flip, if you cannot move into a mindset of abundance, you will not be able to achieve. Notice that myself, Alejandro, Daryl, and Sam Singh, we are all real estate investors. We are all entrepreneurs. We are all growing our brands and growing our social medias and going out and speaking at events and doing things like this. And yet, none of us feel like we're in competition with one another. We come from a place of co-creation. This is a mindset of abundance. This is why we're able to resonate. This is why you can have alphas sitting inside of a room together, not stressing and not going after each other's throats. It's because we understand abundance. So for a minute, I want to pause it there. And I want to get your feedback. I want to get Alejandro's feedback. I want to get Sam's feedback on this idea that in order to achieve in 2023, you really have to be moving and operating from a place of abundance. And if you're not doing that, if that's not set, no victory will last. And even if you do achieve financial success, it won't feel good. It will not feel good. But I want to hear from you. What do you think about that?
Alejandro, you can go first on this, man.
Okay. Yeah, I think it's this is something I preach about all the time, man. It's like I'm always looking for the who, not the how, because it's more enjoyable. And I tell this to my partners as well. It's like, because a lot of the stuff that I do, I can do this by myself. Like as far as like the work of it, but to succeed alone, then that's a whole different question there. Can you do it? Yes, I can. But how successful can I be doing it by myself? Right. So it's not that I can sit down and do this all by myself. Let me find a partner that's going to help me scale that we can celebrate with. Right. Because I've always told my partner before, I'm like, I've had questions like, hey, why don't you just own these properties yourself? I'm like, well, who am I going to celebrate with when I get to, to those doors? When I get to 50 doors, I'm just going to look back and I have no partners or no one that I did it with. Who am I going to celebrate with? Who am I going to pop champagne with? I don't drink alcohol, but, just saying, like, it's just more fun. Like I was just telling this to, who was it? I think it was one of my lead managers. Because a lot of the time when I hear these lead managers speak on the phone, or just in general, people whenever they're on the phone speaking to sellers, you can hear that lack of confidence. I'm like, why do you lack confidence? And for me, I had to sit down and really ask myself, why do I have so much confidence when I'm talking to these sellers? And the answer is because I'm providing solutions for a lot of people by having this phone call. Prime example, like, I have database partners. So one deal can produce for 8 people in their families. Just one deal. Just how my business is structured. So when I tell these lead managers, I'm like, hey, do you know how valuable you are? Because they were having a seller speak to them like all mean and yelling at them, and you can tell like they were stuttering, like, oh man, I'm stuck. Why is he yelling at me? I'm like, first of all, man, you don't deserve to take that type of energy from that person, because how many of you guys had a seller that tell you, hey, I know what you're doing. You're trying to lowball me and take advantage of people that are, in a whatever situation, so you could take advantage of them. Like, how many of you guys had that seller? Have we all been there?
I had that guy, yep.
And it's interesting. I told my one of my lead managers, they try to get into it. He was like, you don't know what we do. But I was like, bro, it's not even worth it. Like, you have to know your value. Like you're providing value to 8 different people and their family. Like the VAs that are cold calling, they're getting paid. The lead manager, the owners of the company, the people that are paying to fund the marketing, like they and their family are getting fed based off the phone call you're doing today. That's how valuable you are. So, the abundance of being able to share this with a lot of people is amazing. And like that's one thing I was more excited to see in my business. Because whenever we close a deal, the first thing I ask my partner, hey, who's getting paid on this deal? I want to talk to that guy. Who's getting paid on this deal? Because I'm happy that I was able to provide for someone and their family. That feels way better than getting a $20,000 check in my account. No joke.
Yep.
That feels way better. When I see that person coming into the office with a fresh fade, clean cut, new shirt, right? Like that gets me excited. So that's all I have to say about that. That's
Bro, I
huge.
love it. I mean, that's abundance right there, right? That's recognizing that a win is a win. A real win is a win for everybody. And I'm curious to know from you guys. I kind of want to open this up to all of us, and I want to ask, because we get it now. The place where we're at currently with our mindsets, we understand abundance. We understand that if we want to succeed, we have to come at it from a place of creation, not competition. I'm curious, was it always that way for you guys? Like, did you always naturally, do you feel like you've always had a success mindset programmed into you? Or do you feel like it was something that came over time?
No, I wanna speak on this. I come from an industry before I got into real estate, where cynicism and being realistic and understanding that other people have ill intent meant surviving. Straight up what it meant. I was in an industry where we didn't deal with the best people. We dealt with horrible people that wanted to hurt other people. And a part of our daily survival mechanism was understanding that everyone that we interacted with, everyone that we talked to, had ulterior motives. And guess what? Those ulterior motives were always typically negative. So when I got into this industry, I had to rewire my brain. I had to rewire my understanding and how I perceived other human beings. And what I had to stop doing is assuming the worst. And we talked about this the first time we did Deal or No Deal. We talked about the guy who I had to unfortunately evict, and it was like a whole mess. And we talked about what my biggest mindset struggle with it was. And I talked about how every step of the way, that guy gave me every reason to hate him, gave me every reason to want to destroy him and, malign him publicly and shame him, this, that, and the other. And I quickly realized throughout that process that I had to actually reverse engineer and rewire my own brain to not think of the worst case and not operate in bad faith, but instead operate in good faith. And actually, it wasn't for him. I will selfishly admit it was for my own sake. It was for my own mental health, my own ability to be able to get into rooms and just operate and give people the benefit of the doubt that if I pour into them, they will pour into me and they will pour into everyone else around them. Truly, this is a new version of a self-preservation mechanism. It at its core really is. By giving other people good faith, we're actually in turn giving ourselves good faith.
That's interesting.
We actually make ourselves happier, right? And so for me, coming from an industry where basically being attacked or being like the threat of death was very prominent, truly day in, day out, it was very prominent. And I had to look at people in a very specific way, not because they were, not because I hated them, not because I assumed they were the worst of the worst of the worst, or they were just evil human beings. I had to just understand that it is human nature to do negative things to other human beings, and their environments condition them to do so. And I'm going to tie this back to what Marlon said earlier. And Marlon, I'm actually kind of disappointed that you didn't hammer away at this. And it's because I understood that these were their paradigms.
Mm-hmm.
So Marlon, you mentioned—
we're still getting into this. We just started this episode, bro.
Dude, it's one of those things. I had to understand that their paradigms, because of where they were from, how they were raised, the environments and the influencers around them conditioned them to operate a certain way, right? And it made them basically want to hurt and do bad things to other people for whatever internal reasons they had, right? Maybe it was their self-preservation. I don't know, and I'm not going to like stress myself out trying to figure it out. I'm just going to accept that that is their preset default. These are their default settings based on the factory they came out of, right? In real estate, in an entrepreneurship, guys, let's be honest, there are guys out there who are complete freaking sharks. There are people, we know them, all four of us know who a lot of these people are. They're out there to cut other people down. We've all, I don't know about you guys, I'm sure everyone here actually has been basically screwed out of a deal, cut out of a deal. We've all had people cheat us. And most of us, I think I'm like the newest in the industry out of everyone here. I've been in a little bit over a year now. I've had partners do really shady things. I've had people cut me out of deals, even if like I'm the one bringing the deal. I've had like really bad things happen in a very short amount of time. And every time it happens, it reaffirms that there's bad actors and bad players out there. But one unique thing has happened now because I've successfully rewired my brain. I'm really glad that they do that. I'm really glad that they do it. And if anything, I actually wish they did it sooner.
Yep.
Because I've actually, and this comes from one of our mentors, Pace Morby. Pace Morby relentlessly gives. He relentlessly gives opportunities and value and spotlights and to people who don't necessarily, I mean, let's just say they may not have earned it yet. You guys know what I'm talking about. You've seen him do what he does,
Yep.
right? People will come to him. They haven't done anything for him or his community or anything yet. And he will just pour. He will just pour, give them the world. Why? Because if you guys actually talk to him privately, he'll tell you he does this intentionally and he will give the farm away, leave himself open and vulnerable, and he will take a step back and just watch what happens. And he'll see what you do with it.
And also, I want to highlight something, though. Here's what I want to highlight as well. Because Pace, I mean, he's been doing this long enough to start to see the deeper nuances that new individuals might not see. But something that Pace understood from the very beginning, and the people who grow understand very early on, is that when you give, it's kind of like forgiving. It's not for the other person. It's for you. When you give because it's what you're supposed to do. Right? You forgive because you're dropping the weight. When you give, it's your way of actually proving that you believe the universe is abundant. Like, this is how we actually start to fight the paradigm and we start to change the paradigm, right? Like, and when Sam said paradigm earlier and I said paradigm earlier, some of you are like, what the hell does this word paradigm mean? Because I remember when the word paradigm was a brand new word for me. Also, JR, that is a dope photo that you got as your logo, man. That's just so rad. So, the paradigm, understand your paradigm is your internal self-image. Your paradigm is how you view yourself. It's how you view reality. It's the lens through which you see everything. When your paradigm says that people are here to screw you over, guess what you always find in the world? You always find opportunities for people to screw you over. When your paradigm says that there are no deals in wholesaling, guess what happens? There are no deals in wholesaling. When your paradigm says that people are going to say no to you and that no one wants to do creative finance, guess what? Your paradigm will produce those results. It's your self-image. It's the reality you attract. But you can start to change it by, like we said before, moving into that abundance mindset. So that giving. How do I prove that I believe something? Right? How do I prove that I believe the airplane will fly? Simple. I sit my butt in the airplane and I fly it. How do I prove that the parachute's going to open? I leap off the edge of the cliff. And I don't just stand on the edge of the cliff and talk about how I know the parachute's going to open. I trust the parachute's going to open. I believe the parachute's going to open. See, I prove my beliefs with my action. How do I prove that I believe there's an abundant universe? I give. It's that simple. I give. That's my proof. Because if I truly give, I know that, guess what? I can create more. I'm a creative being. Oh, yeah, that's right. I'm a create. This is why, I love our mentor Pace, and I love his best friend Jamil. Jamil Damji. I mean, that is Pace and Jamil, they're like yin and yang. Like Pace is all tactics, and then Jamil comes in and he balances the other side out, and then both of them just go full force to create this insane, like just cosmic rock star show for the universe for all of us to be a part of. And Jamil constantly reminds us that you are spiritual beings. Real talk. Some of you are like, wait, he just said what? Yes, you are spiritual beings, right? You live in a body, you have an intellect, but you come from a place that is pure energy, that's pure creativity. Start to channel that. Start to act. God, I'm literally living in a house that, like, we call it the mindset manor, but low key it should be called the manifestation manor, because like this house was a manifestation. This house started up here. It started from a place of abundance. It started from me sitting down with my roommate Luciano and him saying, I'm moving to Lake Tahoe. Right? And I'm like, oh, we're moving to Lake Tahoe. He's like, no. We're moving to Lake Tahoe. And I'm like, ouch. That's when you find out that like that throuple relationship you thought you were in was actually just like a him and her, like him and his girlfriend. And like, I was just a third wheel. You know, it's all good though. I still love you, Luciano. Just joking. But like when I found out that was happening, I was like, all right, well, I got like a month and a half here to go find a new place. I could start thinking with scarcity, like, oh my gosh, like, is there going to be another apartment? Am I going to be able to make enough money to go? What if the rent's too high? What if I could just start thinking that way? But luckily, the people I'm around, they remind me to be abundant. They remind me to sit and first off, be grateful for everything that I have up until this moment. Can we just remind everyone right now in this moment, as you're listening to this, we got some people tuning in live. Could y'all do me a favor? Could you put in the chat what you're grateful for? Can y'all do that? I want to see what people are grateful for, right? Because I know I'm grateful to be here right now on this live with Sam Singh, with Alejandro Alvarez, with Daryl Ellison. I'm grateful that we can have this sort of conversation because this was the sort of conversation I never saw growing up, ever. And never watched people express what was actually going on in their mental couple it with the actions that they take. Because it's from a place of gratitude that I think each of us go out and we work our everyday. In fact, just out of curiosity, how many of you, like Daryl, Alejandro, Sam, I really don't know the answer to this. Do you guys start your days off with gratitude?
I do.
Bro,
I start my day and end my day with gratitude.
So Alejandro sandwiches his day with gratitude. What about you, Daryl?
every day, bro. Not only that, I make sure, like, with my team, our very first thing we do in every single morning is talk about the one thing that we're grateful for every day.
It's so funny. This is something that I do because I have the good fortune of having all the people that I care about in my life, my immediate loved ones, still with me today, and it's something that I'm always infinitely grateful for. And freaking Daryl. And one thing that we've done, it's funny for my acquisition guys, right? My closers, these guys are supposed to be killers on the phone. They're supposed to go and make us a ton of money. And every single day now in our acquisition meetings, we start off with gratitude. And guess what? If we have an hour-long meeting, we'll probably spend the first half hour on gratitude. And the second half hour is about real estate. It's about the work. We actually spend the bulk of our time talking about what we're grateful for. And you know why? It centers us. It centers us with the right mindset, with the right focus, with the right view on everything that's going to come. Because guess what? We're going to get on the phones. We're going to talk to sellers who cuss us out. We're going to talk to things are going to come up. Escrow is going to happen. Other investors are going to try to steal deals from us, right? We're going to be screwed over a million different ways. But if we start every day centered the right way, with the right outlook, with the right perspective, how we take in those punches, they land differently. I feel like if you don't, and Marlon, you're actually someone that I do a lot of this because I ask myself, WWMD, what would Marlon do? And a lot of the things that I've done with mindset and positivity for myself and for my people around me, a lot of things that I'm doing in my life truly are just focusing on gratitude. And here's something that's really important, and I promise I'll let you get back to this. Something I realized about me, and Steve Trang came on my podcast, and he called me out for being an achievement addict. Right? I'm the guy who, if I become a billionaire, I'm going to spend my whole life trying to becoming a billionaire. And when I do, I'm just going to want another $1 billion. It'll never be enough. And then he asked me live on the podcast, and it disrupted me Of course, Steve Trang, disruptors. The disruptor disrupted me. And he said, we all ask ourselves, why are we doing this, right? We'll say what our why is. And 99% of the time, the why is the people around us. It's our loved ones, right? It's our family. It's our spouses, our children, our soon to, hopefully, our future wives, our future kids, our future generations. And then he said something really disruptive. He's like, Sam, why are you doing this? I told him my loved ones, my 2 little brothers and my dogs and the people that I want to build for. And then he asked me, are you living every day with that same mindset? Like, you know that. You say your why, but are you living with it? Are you living like it? And then I quickly realized, holy shit, the things that I am grateful for, right? My brothers, my family, my loved ones. I'm not living in a way that showcases that I'm truly grateful. We say this. We say we're grateful for the people that we love. But are you operating every single day in your being, in your spirituality, in your mentality, in your mindset, showcasing that you're actually grateful for these people? You can't say I'm great, my why, and I'm grateful for my wife and I love her and she's the best thing that ever happened to me and she makes me a better man. And then you go through the rest of your day basically being a piece of crap human being.
Mm-hmm.
Those things are out of alignment. And it's really freaking funny, guys. I just started unlocking all of this stuff very recently, and it wouldn't have happened without you guys. Marlon, you especially. And it's, guess what? You know, and this all comes back to it. When Steve Trang did that to me and he put me on the spot, you guys could go back and watch the replay, and I'm just like, I'm stunned. You know what he did? He challenged my paradigm. Literally a week after, like I went and had to travel. I had this beautiful moment. I got invited to Ed Milet's house. I traveled. I did a lot of great things. And then I came back and I realized, wow, that's all great. And it's all for me. And I say it's for them. I say it's for them. They didn't get to go on the trip. They didn't get to go to one of the biggest mansions I've ever seen and have a great time. I did. So if it's for them, let me do something for them. Right then and there, called off all work, went and rented a gigantic freaking SUV, took the entire family on a gigantic boat day, turned off my phone. And then now I am emphatic. I am obsessed with taking as many days off of work as I possibly can to remind them that I'm doing this for them. So everyone, all this stuff, whether you put it in the chat or not, and if you didn't put it in the chat, you were supposed to, I'm kind of disappointed in you. The things that came to mind when Marlon asked, guys, what are you grateful for? The things that came to mind, I want you to live like it. Live like you're grateful for them. That's it.
That's huge. Bro, that is so huge. And what you just said, Steve Trang challenged your paradigm. I want to let everyone know what my intention here is tonight with this episode, because I believe in being intentional. The intention with this conversation is to hopefully challenge your paradigm. It's to just make you second guess. If you're on the right track, what's so wrong with checking in on your map? But if you're off track, I mean, this can literally be a life changer. This could be a life saver. If you've been walking down the wrong path, if you're about to step into a booby trap, if you're about to step off the edge of the cliff, and what now we're getting you to do with this conversation, with these sort of questions, is simply to say, let me check back in. Let me see if what I'm doing is the right thing to do. And here's the interesting thing that some folks don't realize. When you have this paradigm shift, understand that we're talking about it pretty casually right now, but it's an experience. It could be scary, right? It could actually feel like turmoil on the inside from a feeling standpoint on what's going on internally, because you had just based all of your reality, all of your decision-making, all of this off of this old self-concept. And now something comes along, someone comes along, a conversation, a book, a piece of inspiration comes, and it goes contrary to the thing that you've laid your foundation on. So recognize that now that foundation is cracking, that foundation is shifting. And what happens when the foundation of the earth shifts? Everything on top of it rattles. This is why when we try to have conversations, as you're on your journey right now, this is why some of you are feeling a disconnect from your family and your friends. It's because currently the things that you're trying to introduce to them, it's rattling their foundation. You're rattling their paradigm, and you're not aware that you're rattling their paradigm. And although you were comfortable with your paradigm being rattled, they might not yet be comfortable with their paradigm being rattled. And you may be in a place where, as they're going to this next level, Sam reminds me of this all the time. Alejandro reminds me of this all the time, that at the next level, there's a new devil. In other words, there's a new paradigm. There's a new foundation. And it's going to shift the one you're currently standing on. And this is where people start to run into something we call the terror barrier. See, the terror barrier is as I start progressing, and I can actually even bust out the whiteboard for us on this one. I don't know, Daryl, I busted out the whiteboard last week for your group. Should we bust out the whiteboard right now?
Bro, yes. Honestly, yes. Go ahead. We should really charge for it.
I love that. Honestly, yeah.
He's like, bro, like, why are we even having this conversation? All right, here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna bust out the whiteboard, and the way I'm gonna do it is I'm gonna share my screen by opening up my Zoom and just simply sharing the whiteboard. So let me see if I can do this. I'm gonna go ahead and click on present. Let's see if it lets me screen share, right? And let's see, what can we get a little unique with this? Look at this. I'm gonna go to Windows. I'm gonna go to Zoom. Hopefully this works. If it doesn't work, you guys let me know. Can you guys see my Zoom whiteboard right now?
No.
We can't see it.
You have to press present.
Oh, I gotta click present. I clicked present. All right, share screen. Window, Zoom.
People forget Marlon was born. Marlon's the 80s baby.
Yo, chill. Don't be messing with that. Like, yo, you know what happened to them 80 babies, 80s babies? All right, I don't know if I'll be able to do it, y'all. I'm sorry. Guys, it's not letting. It's showing me that I can't share my Zoom for some reason.
Marlon's such a tease, guys.
Yeah, it's already checked. I gotta change my system preferences on Google Chrome, and all right, y'all, I let you down. Hold on, I'm gonna try one more thing because now we've already come down this road. I'm gonna share my entire screen.
We ain't come this far just to come this far, bro.
Oh, it won't even let me do it. Okay, it really is not. It's a
Never mind, Daryl. We absolutely came this far to come this far.
Just to come this far, bro.
All right, y'all, because for me to do it will require me to reset my Chrome browser. So just understand this. Understand that as we go through something called the terror barrier, I want people to just follow me conceptually. So I'm going to paint a picture for you, hopefully. Right now, you exist as who you are, and you have a certain self-concept inside of you. And let's say that this self-concept is somebody that earns $40,000 a year. That's your self-concept. That's your self-image. And that lives in your subconscious mind. It's how you express. It's how you show up in the world. You walk around as a $40,000 a year individual. And then you get hit with a spark of inspiration. You go and you see Sam Sing speaking this Friday in Phoenix, right? And you're just like, I'm ready. I can run through a wall. I can do it. And you start to realize that the possibility exists for you to not become a $40,000 a year man, but to be a $40,000 a month man, right? And that's your first paradigm shift. That's your first quantum leap. And so now you begin to take in these thoughts, right? You begin to dream and fantasize about this $40,000 a month man that you can become. And you're even starting to see it. And hell, you're even starting to feel it. Like, I mean, you're walking around and you got your chest up a little bit. You're peacocking, right? You got a little swagger to you. And the interesting thing is the $40,000 a year man. See, he's still alive. He doesn't disappear. He's not dead. In fact, he will never die. He lives on forever in your subconscious mind. He's already there. He's already nestled in. Once the subconscious mind gets a hold of something, it never releases it. Your goal and your job is not to kill him. He doesn't need to die. He does need to starve, however. Your goal is to starve that man. The way you starve him is not by focusing on starving him. The way you starve him is by now reallocating your energy, your focus, your energy on building that $40,000 a month man. Now, as this begins to happen, I want you to imagine that you've got $40,000 a year man and $40,000 a month man. They are now living in the same home. And at some point, you fed the new man just enough that he's the same size as the old man. What's happening? There's a battle going on internally. This is what we refer to as the terror barrier. This is when your new paradigm and your old paradigm are waging a war against each other. And you have to understand what this feels like because your new paradigm's on a different vibration. It's on a different frequency. These are two frequencies that are not in harmony with one another. It's crashing. It's like waves in the ocean crashing. It's a disturbance. So what does that mean? From a standpoint of a day-to-day life, it's going to feel very uncomfortable. It's going to feel like, man, what is going on? Like, where is this stress coming from? Where is this burden coming from? It won't feel good in that moment. Although I'm telling you, you've got to keep going. You're like, Marlon, are you sure? Man, because this is not feeling right now. I know. I promise you, what you're feeling is normal. I want to express that what you're feeling, what you're going through is normal because, Sam, I talked to so many people who tell me that they got to this point and they felt like something was wrong. So they turned around and they went back. And this is what most people do. They start to go out a little bit. They hit the terror barrier and they feel that this resistance is a sign. They interpret this sign as, okay, I'm supposed to go back. This isn't the right way. Instead, however, what we're supposed to do is we're supposed to keep on pressing on this wall because what people don't realize is that they look, the wall actually has slits. And if you keep pressing, you can actually push through. And now on the other side of this terror barrier, that new man, he's growing larger. You've continued to feed him. He is no longer bothered by that old small man. So although that old small man lives there, this is why some of our old habits come back up because they never actually go away. It's just we focus on the new paradigm much more and we build a new stability. We get to a new island. We're out of the turmoil of the ocean and we're back on safe land again. This is a process that you have to understand because in 2023, if you're going to be anything that you can be proud of, if you're going to become a complete individual, if you're going to be someone that lives a successful life, which means you become all that you're capable of becoming, you will experience this. You will experience this paradigm shift. You will experience this growth. And I need you to remember what you're hearing right now. I need you to remember what you're feeling right now, that certainty that when paradigm shift comes, when the terror barrier comes, you are committed to pushing forward. You have to commit to pushing forward. If you're not willing to commit to pushing forward, just understand what that means about you. It means you value safety more than you value growth. Understand that.
Dude.
Can I just hit that at that point as well? Because I was blessed to learn about the terror barrier earlier this year. And now when I'm in those situations and I'm able to identify like, yo, this is a terror barrier, my mood switches from like, why is this happening to me to thank God I'm going through this, right? Like, thank you, I'm learning something new. And thank you, I'm about to grow, right? Because I know what's on the other side of that terror barrier. So it's like, once you know, now you should look forward to these tough moments and these moments where everything looks like it just feels like it's going wrong, you know?
It's I want to hit on this, guys, and I want to make it tangible. I want to relate it because a lot of times you guys haven't done this before. You guys haven't. We've all been through. I love it. I feel like every time I talk to Marlon, I gain new levels of understanding of myself as a human being. It's so freaking powerful, and I'm actually more stunned that I get to listen to it for free on YouTube, which is mind blowing to me. These realities, I want to make this relatable to people who maybe, it just doesn't. They can't relate to it yet. When you were a kid, you went to an amusement park for the first time. Remember that feeling of being in line for a roller coaster for the first time ever? And it was terrifying. And you couldn't breathe, right? Your chest felt tight. And as the closer you got to getting on the ride, the more tight-chested you felt, the less you felt you could breathe. And then what happens, right? You swallow your pride, right? You swallow your ego, you get on the ride, you have a great damn time. What is everyone's first thought after they get off a roller coaster? Almost unanimously, that was so fun, let's do it again, right? That's like a legitimate terror barrier that people go through as kids, right? Now I can relate that to that. And I want to talk about this. In 2023, let me ask you guys, my three brothers here, do you guys want to elevate in 2023?
Absolutely.
Okay, so let's talk about elevation.
Always.
Let's talk about elevation. You want to elevate. What does that mean? Doesn't mean you make more money. It means that you become a better person. It means you vibrate at a higher level. You attain higher levels of elevation. Right now in life, you are defaulted with everybody else around you, right? You know what happens, guys, when you elevate? When you go to a higher elevation, when you're climbing mountains, what happens to the air?
Thinner.
It gets thinner. It gets thinner. And what's going to happen is this. If you're making $100,000 a year, right? You want to get to $1 million a year, right? You have problems. We all have problems making $100,000 a year. Are you going to have problems when you're making $1 million a year? 100%. When you do it, when you get there, you're on that threshold, it's going to feel like you can't do it. These problems are too big to be solved. They're too big for you to solve. You have defined it as such. You have defined that I can't solve these problems. That's why I feel the pressure. That's why I can't breathe. I feel tightness in my chest. I could have handled $100,000 a year problems, but I can't handle these problems. The reality is you can. The reality is your lungs haven't adjusted to the altitude yet. Stay there. Enjoy it. Thrive in it. Find the solutions. And when you do, when you're on the other side of the terror barrier, right? When you've reached the peak of that mountain and you're stabilized there, you will, once your lungs have adjusted and they know how to deal with thinner air, those problems, those $1 million problems, are going to feel no more special than the $100,000 problems. I remember when talking to a seller was like the biggest problem I had in my life. I was like, oh, this is terrifying. I just put it off, right?
Oh.
Now it's the easiest thing in the world. I remember when I first started my first company and I was doing my LLC setup and my legal entity setup and I didn't want to screw anything up. And I was like, oh man, I want to make sure everything's perfect. Otherwise I'm going to be a failure in life and I'm going to get sued and this, that, and the other. Now I'm making an LLC at like basically every single week.
And can I highlight that it also exceeds outside of business? Can I just be real with everyone for a minute? Can I be a human?
Of course.
These paradigm shifts and these terror barriers, they are so much more than even just business and just making money. You know, these terror barriers are like this weekend, for example, like I went out and I was in public and I went out for the Super Bowl here and just going up and talking to strangers, right? And being nervous to go up and like they're pretty girls and being nervous to go and talk to pretty girls, right? That's another terror barrier, right? But knowing that the process is go and push through it anyway. Seeing people that you've looked up to, many of you, I've had the great pleasure of meeting so many of you at meetups, right? Coming up and you guys are able to come up to me and you guys humble me because you will say things like, oh my gosh, you're like a celebrity to me. And like, you know, you've helped with this content. And I'm just like, whoa, like I'm just a normal guy. But like, I'm like so amazed that you think that highly of me, when you think that highly of Sam and Daryl and Alejandro, and you will approach us. Because when I was in your position, and I know what it's like, I would see the people I looked up to, who I got value from, and I would freeze. I would straight up freeze because my paradigm held me still. My paradigm told me I wasn't good enough. My paradigm told me that I don't deserve to be an acquaintance of that individual yet. And because that was the energy I was vibrating, guess what? Even if I did walk over there and start speaking to them, I didn't know how to change my frequency. I couldn't get myself to resonate. So now I was not attracting them. So being here, it wasn't until I started hearing people talk about this. And I was like, wait, you can change that? You're not just doomed to be the loser? Because that's what I thought. I was like, man, I'm just going to be a loser my whole life. All right, this is last vulnerable thing I'm going to share here. When I was growing up and I was younger, I remembered thinking, man, what if I become an adult with no friends? And what if I can't find a wife and she doesn't want to marry me? And I won't be able to have kids. Like I legitimately, like that was like the mindset I had growing up in my head. So like, this is why like mindset means so much to me, because people see me now and they just assume that like I've always been this comfortable. And like, I just want y'all to realize like how low I thought of myself. And to recognize it's something that can be changed. 2023 is the year to change it. Today is the day to change it. Listening to this right now, there's a reason that you're still tuned in right now. There's a reason you're still listening. You're already on that frequency. You've already started that search. You've already asked for more. Congratulations, you're receiving. This is it. Stay close to the campfire. Stay plugged in. Connect with people that you resonate with. If it's on YouTube, if it's on Instagram, have an abundance mindset. understand the reality that you can see them. And like, if you're like, man, Alejandro's content is so fire, and I love how consistent he is, and I love how he's wrapping up deals, but how do I ever get to be around a guy like him? Start changing your paradigm and start reaching out to him. Start showing up consistently in his world, because what it's going to take to change your paradigm is consistency. What it's going to take to get into the worlds of the people who you want to be in, consistency. Keep showing up. If he says no, if you fail at becoming the new version of you once, get up again. Do it again. The repetition is the mother of mastery. Man, I love this topic. And like Sam, I can talk about this till I'm blue in the face. I can talk about this till 2 o'clock in the morning. Like, I mean, you guys can leave the live right now, go off and do business, go lock up 1 million deals, come back next Tuesday, and I'll still be here talking about this.
Let him cook.
Like, yo,
It'll
I
be like
love
that time where Daryl like put the phone down, went for a jog, came back, the guy was still talking. It's just like that.
bro, that's me. That's me.
And I
on this.
want to highlight something, man. Something that you said, right, about like when you get into this industry and connecting with people who you feel are above you, and they may be above you in business. It doesn't mean they're any better than you. It just means that they're a season ahead. It means they're a chapter ahead. They're a few pages ahead. I want to highlight this. I mentioned this earlier. Out of everyone here, I'm like the newest to the industry, I'm like the youngest to the industry, and we're all our common denominator. What brought us all together is the Sub2 community. And when I first joined the Sub2 community, it was my first time in entrepreneurship and real estate and business. And I remember seeing Mindset Marlon, and I remember seeing Daryl. And these guys were established. And I knew they were like OGs, Marlon especially. And Marlon, it's funny, at the time, I didn't understand branding and social media. And like, this is all new to me, right? And I remember no one ever called him Marlon Johnson. And I'm like, oh, this guy's a celebrity. His username is his name, and it's Mindset Marlon. I'm like, that's special. And I was like, damn, like that's a brand. That's, for some reason, I felt like he was so far ahead of me that I couldn't relate to him. And then one day, through being it was actually the first time I ever talked to Pace Morby face to face. I was on a Zoom, and I got into some extremely emotional, vulnerable things that happened in my life. Basically, my dog had almost died like the previous night. It was a horrible time in my life. And then I was very open and vulnerable and emotional with it. And what happened that night is Marlon, his Pace maybe put my phone number in the chat. Marlon reached out to me. And the first message, I'll never forget it. You told me you loved me, and we'd never met before. We'd never spoken. You're like, Sam, we haven't met yet. I just want you to know that I love you. Marlon and I got on a phone call maybe like a week or two later. And then I think we had like a 2-hour call, and it was just the highest level vibration that I've had in a long time. Keep this in mind, guys. A week or two prior, Marlon Johnson, to me, Mindset Marlon, I felt that he was so far above me that I couldn't relate to him. I couldn't get to that campfire. I wasn't ready for that campfire. I wasn't deserving to be around that campfire because I hadn't achieved whatever I thought I needed to achieve. I went, we had a conversation, we talked, we were very vulnerable, we connected on so many levels. And now Marlon Johnson is easily one of the best friends that I've ever had in my life. It's uncanny, guys. It is ridiculous. There's a lot of you guys here who watch us who actually they're not even in the chat. Because I get this all the time. If you're watching, you guys aren't in the chat, come on, guys, do better. Because you guys will like hit me up after, like, oh, that was a great live. And I'm like, I didn't even know you were here. And then there's a lot of you, not a lot, maybe there's a few who feel like, hey, the 4 guys on screen right now, just because they're doing deals, because they're making some money, because they're not newbies in the industry, and because they have a YouTube podcast that we don't right now, for some reason, they're farther ahead than us and we can't relate to them and we can't be around them. You're lying to yourself. And guess what? You also haven't even gotten our input on it yet. You have never asked. Did you ever ask Marlon, can I hang out with you? Am I good enough to hang out with you? No, you've just assumed that because Marlon's doing deals, because Marlon owns property, because Marlon has a brand, that you can't be around his camper. That's the assumption that I made. And after I talked to him, I realized I was lying to myself for no reason. So for the guys who are just kind of the lurkers in the back, stop lurking. Like, I'm not joking. This campfire is warm as hell. So freaking warm that the 2 guys on the left of the screen literally went and bought a house together. That's how warm this campfire is. So, okay, I'm off my high horse, guys. I just had to
Hey,
say
bro, just to clarify, I'm just a tenant.
Never mind. Never mind.
Whoa,
Okay,
you more than a tenant, bro. You're
There's
member
a,
number one.
there's
of
a
the
lease
mindset
agreement
thing.
in place at this campfire.
Let's go, baby.
Yo, but I mean, guys, Sam said it so freaking well. You're seeing it in live action, and more important, apply it. Apply it. I mean, there's so many words I can say that it's just like I said, I'd be here all night. I want to give everyone one bit of homework. I really want to give you guys this bit of homework. Sit down and get yourself into a relaxed state. Go to a place of gratitude. Like start off, pull out a notebook. Don't just do this in your head. Pull out a notebook and write down the 10 things that you're grateful for. Please. And as you write them down, my mission, my challenge to you is to feel the gratitude that you're talking about, that you're writing about. Feel grateful in those moments. Simply, I'm priming you because from that place of gratitude, Dustin, from that place of gratitude, Raphael, there, I want you to then begin to create your vision for what you want. From that place of gratitude, begin to write down without any limitation, without any worry about the how. Don't concern yourself with the how. This isn't exercise. Don't concern yourself with the how. Begin to write out the dream that you want to accomplish. You want to be a billionaire? Write it down. Say it out loud. Because if you can't take yourself being serious about being a billionaire, no one else is going to. You want to be a millionaire? You want to be the first person to go to college? You want to do whatever it is. Because, and maybe this will be another topic for another day, we're too concerned with what other people think. And I need you to move away from that. If no one's ever given you permission to dream, to think big, to go after it, we're giving you permission right now. The 4 guys on this screen absolutely co-sign your dream. We absolutely co-sign your growth. We absolutely co-sign you achieving and unlocking your potential. So get into that place of gratitude and then write out what you want to do from a place of abundance, a place of what you want to have, things you want to be. And then final thing, you guys are getting the 3-part. Gratitude 1, write it out 2, and then transfer what you've written out onto this, a goal card. I keep this is like a little crumpled up, but it stays in my pocket. It's my goal card. Anytime I need to be reminded of who I am, of what I want to accomplish, and what I'm building, what I'm so happy and grateful to have in my life, it's right here. I don't keep it far from me. It's right in my pocket. So that's my secret here. I'm just giving that to y'all right now. That's my secret.
Bro.
Love it.
Dude, we need to do, like, honestly, I know we've got a time limit on Tuesday nights, but bro, this could be a 5-hour masterclass on mindset and overcoming. And Marlon, you know I like my high-level 5-hour masterclasses, things that make me thrive. Guys, this is the last thing I'm going to say for tonight. There are people in the world, rightly so, who charge tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars, basically for the same practices that Marlon gave away for free. There's a reason why he's Mindset Marlon. And what I want you guys to all do is this. Everything that we said, all of these new practices that he gave you that will shift and create new levels of paradigms, new levels of mindset, new levels of default thinking. Remember that the old levels will always be there. And the sooner that you can get to the new ones, right? If you want to get to those new levels sooner rather than later, you actually need to do something really uncomfortable, and that's confront the things. You need to confront your default settings right now. Self-awareness is the most, you cannot have growth without self-awareness first. You need to see where your blind spots are. You need to see where you falter, where you have positive tendencies and negative tendencies. You need to confront the default stuff that you will never confront yourself on because it's uncomfortable to do so. Spend a week, confront these things every single day. And eventually what will happen, that uncomfortable feeling of realizing these are my truths will stop feeling uncomfortable, and they will just be facts. They will just be there in existence. And the second that they stop feeling uncomfortable is the second that you can start achieving better. Marlon, I owe you a lot, dude. I really do. I owe you a lot. Daryl, I owe you the world. Alejandro, you are my brother, and I look up to you so much. And I feel like I've achieved a new elevation here tonight. So I want to thank you all, truly. And now I'll shut the hell up.
Thank you, brother. Thank you for sharing, man. Appreciate you, bro.
Yo, so just want to wrap this up. Nicholas said, "What's on the gold card?" Guys, check it out. I'll share what's on the gold card, but we got to get this video to 100 likes. And right now, we've got about 20-something people streaming in live. So I don't know if we're going to be able to do it tonight. So if we get this video to 100 likes by next week, when we come back on Tuesday, I got no problem sharing what's on my gold card. I actually share inside of my group, inside of our MMC community. I shared with that community what's on the gold card because I'm going to give everyone this. Remind yourself and remember, when you share your goals and dreams, share them with people who are going to feed into it. Right? They say the fastest way to kill a big goal is to tell it to a small-minded person. So I'm very much like I learned this from Alejandro. I protect my energy. So I like to make sure that when I'm releasing it in the right places. I'm releasing my dreams and my desires and my hopes in the right places. I put it out there in the universe because you've got to make those public proclamations. You've got to put it out there. And I'm an investor, guys. I'm an investor. I leverage the places I put them out. I want to put them out in the places where they're going to get the biggest bang for their buck. So I put it into a community of people who are going to help grow it. So y'all can prove you're that community if we get these videos to 100 likes, because then I know, all right, yo, the people that are coming here that are watching, y'all rock out with us. And I appreciate that. By the way, I've seen Jesse in here. I've seen Rafael on here. I've seen Liban on here. I've seen Karen, Jacob, Jay, by the way, JR, that comment that you left, I'm just going to pull it back up for a second. I'm driving, so I can't get into too much detail. But as a 30-year-old black man getting started in real estate, you guys have no idea how much I needed this. You guys needed this in the space. Thank you. Right? Like, Jay, thank you. I appreciate you even leaving that comment and you opening up and you voicing that opinion, because I have some sort of an idea, because I needed this. I could not find this, so I needed it. That's why I get so passionate about this. So excuse my passion. Like, that's just the passion talking. That's what it is. So now I'm also going to step off. So I'm gonna let Alejandro take this, because Alejandro, if I keep talking, we'll be here all night.
Oh, bro, this is you, man. This is your vibe, man. Please speak, because every time you speak about mindset, man, I always feel like right now I feel like, man, I have to do something bigger in my life right now. Like, that's how every time Marlon speaks, bro, it's like, okay, I have to do something bigger in my life right now, man. So please, man, by all means, feel free to do so. But, the last thing I would say, I know we went a little bit over time, so thank you guys for hanging out a little bit longer with us, is just be careful with what you listen or see before bed and after you wake up. The first thing you do when you wake up has to be very powerful and something that will help you align with your goals. And when you fall asleep, you want to dream about your goals. Like for me, I read different books that's going to help me succeed and get me where I need to be. And I also envision where I want to be. I see the pictures. I see the words. I want to make sure that my brain remembers the last thing I saw before I went to sleep. So that's my only tips I will give you guys tonight. What about you, Daryl? What do you got for us, man?
Isn't there a place where excuse me, I got some food in my mouth. I eat all day, bro. But Marlon, isn't there a place where we could like talk mindset stuff like every day, Monday through Friday?
Bro, every day, Monday through Friday, it's a community, right? It was something that I started it was November of 2021 when I was actually driving across the country to Arizona, because I had just learned that this idea of being in a community of entrepreneurs, people who understand the intricate struggles of working and building a business, on developing themselves, of like how once you enter into that realm, you start to get isolated. You start to be alone. So I created something, quite frankly, that was for myself. I just needed companionship. I needed people to be around, like just like what you guys see on this call right now, how you see me and Alejandro and Daryl and Sam, how we're able to get together and how we vibe off of each other every freaking week. We do that every single morning. It's called MMC. It used to be Morning Mindset Coffee. We rebranded. It's Millionaire Mindset Community.
Damn.
Yeah, baby. MMC.
Was that the
So
first time
actually-
publicly?
Yo, people, so it's open for the public. It's open for people that, here's who I would say, if you're this person, if you're an entrepreneur and you understand that like it kind of gets lonely and you want to be around like-minded people, you're tired of being the smartest person in the room, you're tired of being the only person that has dreams and aspirations, and that on this past Sunday you probably did something besides watch the Super Bowl and you feel like an outsider in your local community because of it, then you're probably interested in jumping into MMC. I would recommend, like, in fact, this is what I'm going to do. Right now, I'm doing this thing. I'm doing a 5-day trial. Like, you guys can jump inside there. Come join the conversation for the next 5 days. Come hang out.
What?
Totally free. Jump on there. Go to joinmmc.com. Right, I'm going to put that link right here. And this is real talk. Like, and guys, I'm going to be honest. I'm telling everyone listening right now, MMC is a paid community. I charge people to be in that community. There's a filter on that wall because, and it's not a heavy filter. I mean, it's not like I'm charging you guys a lot. It's literally $50 a month. It's next to nothing. In fact, Sam yells at me all the time and tells me that I'm just making a terrible business decision at such a low price for how much I afford. And, you know, I hear him, but I told him, like, I do it for the impact. And he's just like, yeah, I get that. But, like, from a business standpoint, you're a knucklehead. And, you know, we still go back and forth on it. And, like, I just stopped telling him that I'm still letting people come in for 50. But
It's okay. I just found out right now, so I'm going to yell at you later.
but it's a filtered room. And really what it's for is it's for us to come together and work on our mindset. Like right now, as a group, we're actually studying. We're studying philosophies of wealth. We're studying the book, The Science of Getting Rich. And I've actually got a workbook for everyone to work on. And it's group discussion. And we're sharing gratitude. And it's first thing in the morning. Because like Alejandro says, how you start your day really dictates the rest of the after. Like it dictates everything. It's the direction you're pointing in. It's the momentum that you build from this jump. So if you guys think that's something that you would find valuable, which I think everybody on here would find it valuable, go to joinmmc.com. Come hang out with the community. Come be a part of the club. Come be a part of the conversation. Tomorrow morning, I got Andrea. She's going to be inside there breaking down some really cool information. So you guys aren't going to see me on there tomorrow. So if you jump in there, like, where is he? I'm going to be doing sales training for my sub-2 community. I promised them, I give them 2 hours every Wednesday morning. So I won't be in there tomorrow morning, but join in there, be a part of the community, be a part of the conversation. So Daryl, I appreciate you for reminding me about that.
I didn't do it for you. I did it for them. They need it. The people need it.
So let's start to wrap it up because we are 13 minutes over the hour. Clearly, this was my fault tonight because I get in my bag when we start talking about mindset. I really do.
Oh man.
So we're going to wrap it up. But if this was your first episode here and you're like, yo, I enjoyed this, here's what I'm going to tell you. We will be back next Tuesday, 5 p.m. Arizona time. We are always showing up for y'all. Please, in the comments, let us know what was your biggest takeaway. If you're watching this in the future as a pre-recording or as a recording, let us know what was your biggest takeaway and what questions do you still have. I love getting your questions. I'm looking forward to engaging in the comments and responding to every single one I see. So, guys, I'm peacing out. Daryl, Alejandro, Sam, you guys have any final words?
Thank you. Always thank you. Thank you. I'm super grateful for those who showed.